Hello, everyone. I'm going to give it a few minutes so everyone joins. Can everyone hear me?
Loud and clear. How are you doing, Alex?
Perfect. I'm good. Thank you very much, Paul. How are you?
Good, good. No complaints.
All right. Awesome. Hi, Max. Hi, Mark.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much. And yourself?
Yeah, very good.
Cool. Awesome.
Good to meet you. Where are
Yeah,
you?
same. Likewise. Likewise. Right now in Germany.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, but normally the head office is in the UK.
Okay.
Mark, I gotta ask the accent.
That's the how you. So yes, African.
No, right, it's the same here. So whereabouts are you?
I live in Grand Cayman, Cayman Islands,
Oh, nice. That's a big change. Whereabouts in SA you from?
Durban.
Same here, yeah, like Westville.
Oh, really? Yeah, funny. Oh, yeah, I went to DHS.
Hey guys.
Oh, nice.
Hello.
Okay, that makes sense. And like, I always see your name. I keep saying like, I'm sure everyone pronounces your surname wrong. Like, I'm pretty sure they keep saying it wrong.
My surname.
No, Mark.
Okay, so
Yeah. I, it's, I sometimes don't even hear it anymore, so it's better.
Right. I'm gonna give it like a few minutes, 3, 4 minutes, so everyone joins, and then I can make a start. Hi, Max.
hey, how's it going?
Good. Where are you calling from today?
I'm in London.
London, eh?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it
Whereabouts in
nice?
London? I'm in Guildford right now.
West Hampstead.
Okay, cool. Okay, makes sense. Yeah.
I like this chess background. I'm a big chess player, so it's I'm a fan.
Interesting. Cool. Righty-o. So I think I'm going first, and then obviously discuss about Amazon and EU, etc. And then Mark, I think you're going second.
Okay.
And then it's Max, and then I think it should be Paul. So, and then we can do like a Q&A session towards the end. So, perfect. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna start. I'm just gonna make a start. Let me just put this here, and I should start sharing my screen. So I'll just get this presentation up. Perfecto. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, right. Yeah, so I'll crack on and make a start on this webinar. So first of all, thank you very much for everyone who has joined. Today I wanted to talk a bit about some tips or when it comes to expanding into Amazon EU. Now, just a bit of a background. We are a UK-based agency, and essentially what we do is we become the Amazon department of our clients. So anything Amazon related, any marketplace around the world, we can support them from PPC DSP to design, video, SEO, and the whole shebang. So we've had quite a few clients either coming from USA that want to expand into Europe or from UK wanting to expand to Europe. And as a side note, I've been also selling on Amazon for 8 years, before Brexit and after Brexit. So it comes with, I guess, some of this advice here has been used firsthand from me as an Amazon seller, as well as utilizing on our clients. So first things first is I wanted to just give an understanding, because people see a lot of this data, how big Amazon EU is or how big Amazon UK is, etc. So this information here essentially comes from SimilarWeb in terms of monthly visits on Amazon in September last year. So you've got 2.7 billion for Amazon.com, and these are the individual ones for the other marketplaces. So therefore, you could say that, you know, Amazon Europe combined, we discussed Europe as UK plus EU4, so Spain, France, Italy, and Germany. So you could, and all the other ones combined is 1.8. However, if we see how many sellers we're dealing with, because a lot of People over in USA also experience things like hijackers or Chinese sellers, etc. Then these are the numbers. You've got 1.9 million sellers in USA, 1.15 million sellers in EU. This is data straight from Helium 10. But we all know, if you've sold on Amazon, how easy it is when you sell in Europe specifically to just click these buttons and sell across other regions. And also, not only this, if you look at how many people sell from US over in Europe, less than 1% of sellers really sell in these marketplaces. But more importantly, when they do, you can see how all of this connect, because, and I'm sure a lot of people will know this, is when you sell in Europe, you don't usually just go for Germany, you also activate France, Spain, Italy, etc. So therefore, we're not really talking about 1.15 million unique sellers. A lot of this data here is actually people who is the same seller in Germany, who is also selling in France, in Italy, and Spain. So if you factor that in, you're actually talking about this is your competition in EU versus this is in USA. So therefore, if we calculate annual revenue by seller, this is the data that we're getting. And if we combine all of this together, this is actually the reality in terms of annual revenue per Amazon seller per year in each territory. Obviously, this is just an average out, but this is just to give you an understanding the size of the price when it comes to selling on Amazon in Europe. Now, why wouldn't everyone start selling in Europe? Well, it's a good question. And it comes with a few, let's say, difficulties when it comes. For someone that doesn't know at all how to sell in Europe, or they're based outside of the EU, then it might seem like it's a marathon to do. But reality is, it's much easier when you have the right partners on your side to help you guide you through this process. So today's presentation is really looking at these 10 rules, let's say, of how you would expand onto Amazon Europe, whether you are based in Australia, whether you're based in South Africa or USA or UK or anywhere else around the world, and how you factor these in. So before starting, I just want to say, if you are new to selling on Amazon or a new brand, really don't consider selling outside your territory until you start hitting 50,000 euros or pounds or dollars in this case per month on Amazon. So that's like a rule of thumb, followed by, if you're not selling on Amazon, then it should be something around 150,000 outside of Amazon, because you're going to need some infrastructure at the beginning, stock, team, marketing, etc., to support you on your EU journey. So moving ahead, first tip that I wanted to just mention on is you want to understand how big this market is. So let's say, for example, you're selling sun cream in USA. Before you start your journey on Amazon Europe and UK, how big is your total available market? How big is your serviceable addressable market? And how big is your obtainable market? So if we take this as an example of a sun cream, let's say that I have a sun cream for kids, which is in the form of spray, then my total addressable one would be sun creams. My serviceable addressable one would be, or SAM would be sun cream spray, and our SOM would be our sun cream spray for kids. So you want to do this with, like, you can use tools like Helium 10 or Jungle Scout to give you this essentially data, so you can understand how big the price is and whether it makes sense for you to go there or not. Because sometimes it might be something that sells very well locally, but it doesn't translate on the other marketplace as well. So that's step number one. Step number two is definitely know your compliances and VAT. Many languages spoken in the EU, different rules and regulations. So you want to make sure that you know how to abide to those, whether it's VAT number, EORI, your responsible person for EU, CE certification, if it's applicable, your Lucid number, if it's things around plastic and etc., and you're selling in Germany or France, your EU IPO, obviously you want to have some trademarks here for many reasons, especially when it comes to selling on Amazon. So make sure you know all of this. A very easy and quick rule of thumb, obviously, is to buy similar products like the ones that you want to sell from your competitors in EU. However, this is just a way for you to understand what's on the packaging, but definitely seek legal and professional advice to make sure that your packaging is on point and you do comply with all these. Finally, you want, so tip number 3, you want to check if you're doing FBA or FBM. So some products actually sell better FBA, some sell better FBM. So which of the two do you want to go for? Here's some rule of thumb for these. You can use the Amazon FBA calculator to basically see what the cost would be. So if you're selling, for example, FBA in Germany and you're fulfilling in Germany, what would that cost you? What would that cost you if someone from Amazon Italy buys your product and it's fulfilled from Amazon Germany? So you want to make sure you know these costs and make sure to decide whether you want to do FBA or FBM. Some rule of thumbs is FBM is better for a bit bulkier items, or sometimes for clothing is even better. FBA is anything that's a bit smaller, etc. Tends to work a bit better. Or you can do a hybrid model of both. You can start one model and then go to the other one. Product packaging, make sure you know your compliance and you do utilize inserts fully. Every single person that gets your products, there's an opportunity for you to market to them according to Amazon terms and conditions and collect reviews. Have a non-SPRAS strategy in place. So make sure you treat Amazon EU as a new territory. So we have a blueprint that we use with our clients in terms of what we look on price, on reviews, on external traffic, on setting up B2B pricing and running your products on subscribe and save. And obviously a bit later on, what's your PPC strategy? How can you build some more traffic onto these listings? Now, if you have maybe social media or a newsletter, etc., you can actually use that for, let's say, a weekend sale on launch for people in EU to buy your products. And Amazon actually loves this when you bring outside traffic. Make sure you localize your content strategy. It goes without saying, infographics, A+ content, title, bullet points, all in local language with the right keywords, etc. Make sure you adjust your PPC correctly, so you see which markets, what days and what time works better. And you can actually just start with a basic setup, maybe some auto with some negatives in there, etc., and start with small budgets and increase it. Forecast your inventory. One of the main rules of Amazon is never really run out of stock. This applies also for EU. So make sure that you forecast this correctly. You can use things like a replenishment alert to see how your stock is performing and be notified with sufficient lead time so that you can actually restock this correctly. Make sure, some EU countries have different dates on big event dates. Spain, for example, has big sales date first week of the year. Some other Mother's Days are different in countries. So you want to make sure how these impact your sales, etc. on each of these marketplaces. Make sure you stay organized and you have a nice Google Drive or OneDrive or whatever format you use. So it's easy to find all the design files and all the things that you need. So that's easy to create the localized content that you need. Make sure, final tip is to check at every quarter how you're performing and what you can do to improve your tag cost, your revenue, your conversion rate in each one of these marketplaces. So make sure that you look at brand analytics and search query performance. As a last bonus tip, when you're selling on Amazon EU, you're not just selling on EU, you're expanding a whole new continent. So have a think about what does this mean to your business? Can you enter maybe brick and mortar stores? Well, now that you have a presence there, can you maybe find distributors, retailers, or wholesalers to sell outside of Amazon, for example, or even form partnerships for some regions, for example, Spain? Can you also fulfill some of your orders now, what you get on your website from EU using the Amazon warehouse? So this is very, very important to keep in mind. So in conclusion, I would like to say just be patient. Amazon is a patience game. Do every step correctly. So make sure that everything is done correctly and professionally before you actually move ahead, and just enjoy it, because it's going to have its ups and downs, but having the right partners with you are going to make this process much smoother and much more successful for you. That's it from my end. Did you guys hear everything okay?
Yep, that was great.
Perfect. Gotcha. Cool. So I'll hand it over to Mark to take us through how we unlock 20% more profit with 5 proven strategies that cut cost and maximize margins.
Mm-hmm.
So Mark, over to you.
All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm Mark Botha from SellerVUE. Today we're going to discuss how we can boost profits by doing some planning. So today we're going to cover 5 proven strategies to cut costs, maximize margins without spending a dime. So recently, I actually just put this out to my audience because I wanted to understand exactly what people were thinking in terms of their goals, right? So I asked this question, like, what would you rather focus on your business? Increase revenue, more sales, bigger top line growth, or increase profits without doing any more work, better margins, and more money in the bucket? So, which one are you choosing? Scale your revenue, or option B, work less and boost profits? So a little bit about me. I've been selling online for the last 12 years, founded SellerVUE out of my own necessity to manage my profitability a lot more precise, accurate, so I can make better decisions. And along the way, I've uncovered quite a few number of things that sellers are doing and what they could be doing better to put more money back in their pocket. So the strategies we're going to dive into today are the exact methods that we use for our private clients every day to really boost profits and at the end of the day, get better business exit valuations. So after auditing over $198 million, we found that sellers are leaving a large number of money on the table by simply not following some key profit recovery strategies. So the thing to remember is revenue doesn't buy you things, right? Revenue buys you an overhead. Only profit from your business buys you the things you need for your business or the things you need in your personal life. So the first step to profitable growth is really profit recovery. So when I think about scaling my business, I think about profit first, then optimizing my business, and then I scale. Sometimes we scale in the wrong order where maybe we don't have amazing listings, or we don't have a great inventory controls, or we aren't doing the things we should, and then we throw a whole bunch of money at PPC. We aren't profiting as much as we can from the SKU. We aren't converting as much as we can from our listings, and we're dumping a whole lot of money into PPC, and it's not producing the result as it should. Is if we had kind of had a solid profit strategy that was putting more money back into the SKUs, more money back into our business, optimized business that's leading to more conversions, more long-term customers, more repeat customers, and then we're scaling in that order. So that's something to think about in how you're scaling. So ultimately, the revenue trap, right? I mean, I think any seller has fallen into the revenue trap where we're so hyper-focused on revenue, and I think after a while we realize that more revenue doesn't always equal more profit. So it's almost sometimes we need to kind of acknowledge the fact that, hey, we're driving sales, but what are we doing to keep more of the money that we earn? So many e-commerces are bleeding profits without realizing it. So, and this really comes down to inaccurate or outdated data. One of the things with e-commerce is that it's a never-ending moving target. Supplier information is changing, shipping rates are changing, customs codes are changing, tariffs changing. We're getting more products in, we're adding products, so that we're constantly having to update our systems and processes. The next is the complexity in tracking variable costs. Like I said, shipping rates fluctuate, Amazon fees pile up, production costs shift, and then also the time-consuming processes. When I think about e-commerce, I think about all the fun things that I want to do in my business. Drive more revenue. Do more packaging, do better products, source more products. Brand awareness. And then I think about all the things that I should be doing in my business, such as making SOAP notes for my VAs and streamlining processes and better inventory controls, monitoring my KPIs, chatting with my bookkeeper, making sure that I'm on a profitable, the cash flow is good, I'm on a good trajectory. Those are the things that we could be a lot more efficient with, so that as our revenue grows, our profit grows too. And then ultimately, at the end of the day, is not a true understanding on our cost per unit. And we'll get to this in a little bit, but it's not using precise tools. You're basically guessing on your product costs, and this is where we find a lot of sellers are leaving margins on the table. And when you get this money back and you're scaling, this is where kind of this webinar ties in as well, is expanding to new marketplaces and new opportunities with the money that you already have, and you don't have to go out and get loans and money or whatever else. You're scaling and growing profitably. So the thing is, what would a 15 cents cost reduction do for you, right? So a small change adds compounds wins over time. So imagine just reducing your cost per unit by just about 15 cents, which is not a lot, right? The annual savings on this profit recovery, if you're doing 1,000 orders a month, that's $1,800 a year. At 2,500 orders, that's $4,500 a year. At 5,000, that's 9,000. At 10,000 orders, that's an extra, $18,000 that is back in your pocket by simply doing these things. And 20,000 orders is 36,000 a year. That's expanding into marketplaces, adding new products, hiring a VA. There is so much opportunity that is lost by not doing these certain things. So profit recovery hinges on optimizing 6 key areas. Added a bonus key area. So each lever ties into the contribution margin, which we'll get to in a second, a metric showing the profitability of each stages of the sale. And this offers a way to reduce your costs and boost your revenue at the same time. So this is how it works. So just a quick recap, if you aren't familiar with contribution margin. So contribution margin 1 is your revenue minus your landed cost. Contribution margin 2 is your revenue minus contribution margin 1 minus fulfillment costs. And contribution margin 3 is your revenue minus CM1, CM2 is your advertising cost. So just a quick recap on that. So let's think about revenue optimization, right? So we've got pricing and sales volume. What it does is this increases revenue through smarter pricing and higher sales velocity, right? So more volume. So the impact boosts your contribution margin 1, which is that profit ratio there. So action here would be using a dynamic pricing tool or bundles to lift that average order value. So the metric to track here would be an average order value. But the one thing here I would say is if you're using a pricing tool, is you've got to know your exact landed cost. Otherwise, as that pricing fluctuates and you say it drops down a little bit, that's going to eat into the margins that you think you're making, right? So that's why the question always comes is where's the money? My profit tool says one thing, but my bank account says another thing. So we're going to be hyper-focused on accuracy if we're using any kind of pricing optimization tools. So the next is the cost of goods sold. So this is from the supplier to your warehouse floor, all the costs involved here. So what it does is we want to lower the direct cost of your products. So the impact on this is improving the contribution margin 1, and maximizing that starting margin. So the action point here is to really start tracking and calculating your landed costs efficiently. The other action point here is negotiating with your suppliers and your freight forwarders for better rates. And then the metric here is contribution margin 1. So the caution here is cost must be accurate. Even the slight variance can affect this metric. And kind of coming back to the 15 cents example is we've had clients where the cost might not have been 15 cents. It was 36 cents, 50 cents, $1, and that all adds up. So the next metric is fulfillment and waste reduction. So this is the contribution margin 2 focus. What we're looking at here is cutting shipping, platform fees, and refunds. So, getting better rates, looking at your platform. Are you getting overcharged? Is there ways to improve packaging? Can you get lower rates? This one, again, strengthening that contribution margin 2. And action here is looking for reimbursements, negotiating better rates. And then the metric to ship here is the contribution margin 2. So again, caution here is, when looking at e-commerce, it's a balancing act. We don't want to affect, say for packaging, go to a poly bag that isn't amazing. And we had amazing packaging before that, because that might affect the customer experience. So we're going to be delicate here when we're looking at, cost reductions, but it's something that can put a lot more money back in your pocket. And then we've got marketing efficiency, which is acquisition and retention. Can we reduce acquisition costs and boost retention? And this is really looking at channels to impact that ad spend. Can we add email lists and other items that we can kind of reduce that spend? And then the next is inventory and management. So making sure turnover versus waste reduction. So we want to speed up turnover at the same time, holding those costs back down. So action here is using demand forecasting and reducing dead stock. The metric here is inventory turnover rate and cash conversion cycle. So the other caution here is do not estimate your lead times. It's highly important to have an accurate lead time on production and transit, and allowing a couple of buffer days for maybe in case of a delay for some reason. So that's the key point here. the next point is, the customer lifetime value. So this one is often, I find, neglected. And I was just having a conversation with a partner of mine and talking about fulfillment, right? So we got fulfillment, and say, for example, your from your supplier to your warehouse flow is as lean as possible. You gain all your profit back. You know exactly what your metrics are. The same with your marketing spend, right? That is lean as possible, getting the best metrics as possible. And then we got fulfillment, which is in the middle, which is, say, for Amazon, for example, which, to be frank, we don't have any control over, right? We have nothing we can say. We can't call someone. Usually it's the bot. But say, for example, you are able to claim back some margins from contribution margin 1, you're able to claim back margins from contribution margin 2. Could you add maybe a 3PL in this scenario where you might be paying a little bit more, but you have a little bit more control because you can pick up your phone and you can talk to a reputed 3PL, and you are maybe improving that customer experience, that they come back on repeat business. You can possibly introduce those subscriptions and loyalty perks. So that's something to think about. If we can bring back margins into our profit, we can do things to improve that customer experience. So again, the other thing to be cautioned here is, offering too many discounts and perks that would erode profitability. So again, we're looking at a balancing act. So can you improve metrics? So yes, when we're looking at reducing costs, negotiating better rates, optimizing production, and at the end of the day, we want to test and measure. We want to always test and measure, making sure that we are, getting the result we want. So before for a client, their profit before was $547,000. Profit after was $664,000. So an increase of over 21%. So yes, definitely possible. And then some other sellers that have the same experience, before and afters. And then, it's also what you think about when we're growing our business is, we're getting this profit back, but what's the impact when we exit our business, whether it's a 3 multiple or 4 multiple or 5 multiple, that profit then is multiplied by significant amounts. So these are some cases from some other clients. So track the metrics that matter for profitable growth. So are you tracking the right metrics to drive your business forward? Without that right data, you could be missing on critical opportunities for growth and leaving profits on the table. So KPIs, I'm not going to go into each one of these, but it's important when we're looking at KPIs, because the KPIs, these key metrics, if you know your metrics correctly, it's a roadmap to your success. You know exactly what is around the corner. And if you can see your metrics dropping, you can make adjustments to improve that roadmap and get it back on course. But without key metrics, you're driving your business in the dark with no headlights. So how to start? So things to do today. What can I do today to improve my profitability? So one thing is, audit your current state. Pull the last 12 months of data, your revenue, your COGS, your fulfillment costs, your ad spends, and calculate that contribution margin 1, 2, and 3. And then set targets. Look to improve those margins by 2-3%, and then track this weekly. And then the path to profitable growth. So profit recovery is just a one-time fix. It's a constant moving target. But with systems in place, you can slowly start maximizing those metrics, mastering metrics, and scaling smarter. So ready to recover what's yours? You can start by questioning the metrics. Can I reduce my COGS? Can I cut shipping rates? Can I boost my CLV? And if the answer is yes, and even a 15 cents reduction is proof that it's definitely within reach, right? So what I would say is let's build a profit machine together. So this is what we do for our private clients. I've kind of set aside a couple free profit strategy calls here. They're obviously limited spots. I can't do this for everyone. If you just want to go to this link, pop on the calendar, book a time to chat with us, and you can also scan this QR code. Okay, so that's it for me. If you have any questions, I think we can answer those at the end.
Perfect. Great. Well, thank you very much, Mark. That was very, very insightful. Thank you. And next we've got Max. So gaining efficiency and top line revenue by optimizing with AI.
Hi guys, how's it going?
Good,
Let
thank you.
me share my screen.
Sure.
Um,
In the meantime, if anyone from the audience has any questions, feel free to send them via the Q&A, and we'll get them answered at the end.
Yeah.
cool, can you see this?
Oh,
Yeah.
Gummy.
Cool,
Yeah.
can you go on mute? Great, can you see this?
Yes, we can.
Fantastic. So hello everyone, I'm Max, and I'm going to talk to you about generative engine optimization. So a bit about my background. I am the founder and CEO of Ecomtent. At Ecomtent, we help sellers to generate optimized product listings for AI-powered search. For that, I spent 6 years at Amazon, including managing the catalog quality for the launch of Amazon Singapore. So that was working closely with the AI9 teams there. So we are in an era similar to the early 2000s, where Google went from being a tenth of Yahoo's search volume to 10x it in a couple of years. Perplexity is already getting 100 million queries a week. ChatGPT, and this is actually an old slide, is now the 6th most visited website in the world. It's eclipsed Pornhub, so that's exciting. And 60% of US adults have used an AI chatbot to do product research in the last 30 days. So we've all seen this in the Amazon side. There's kind of two pieces of AI search that I'll talk about to optimize for and kind of grow revenue. On Amazon, there's Rufus and there's Cosmo. So starting with Rufus. Rufus is this AI-powered chatbot on the front end that we can see here. This is live across all of the EU now on mobile, and it will be live. It's been live on desktop since September in the US, and I imagine, typically from my experience at Amazon, the EU is 6 months or so behind the US, so we'll probably see it soon on desktop as well. So why are Amazon pushing Rufus? The answer is the kind of ethos of Amazon is customer obsession, and customer obsession means doing things that customers don't even know they want, but that Amazon in their and Jeff in his all power and wisdom knows that is the best outcome for the customers. And I can say from my personal experience, it's definitely a superior shopping experience using Rufus. So this is a chair in my office, which I bought on Rufus. As you can see, a bit like ChatGPT, you put in a prompt, you can give it more context, and it'll give you an answer. The alternative is, the sea of sameness that you get in if you put in a keyword, and the purchase I made wasn't in here. None of the chairs listed here matched my criteria of having a 4-star review. And of course, I understand you can start filtering and clicking stuff, but actually it's a lot easier and a lot less overwhelming to simply use an AI-powered search. Similarly, when I was skiing in the EU quite recently, I'm not an expert on ski gloves. I don't want to scroll through 2,000 ski gloves to try and work out, what's the difference when they're all pretty similar. And actually using the questions that Rufus prompted on the product listing helped me to have a great purchase. So my strong view is this will be bigger than mobile in terms of a shift. When I joined Amazon in 2016, we had about 30% of searches start on mobile, and now it's 80%. I think this adoption is going to be far steeper and quicker. The big question that I often get asked when doing these, when talking to customers and doing these presentations is, well, how many people actually use Rufus? Like, it sounds great in theory. And whilst Amazon haven't publicly released the data, what they have told us is how many inference chips they used in an AWS blog to power Rufus. So this is on Prime Day, they used 80,000 chips. That means 3 million tokens. If we assume that the average query on Rufus is similar to the average query on Perplexity, which is 10 to 11 words, and we assume that the average word per token is 1.5 tokens per word, which is, you know, standard for these kind of AI models. What that gives you is 275 million queries per day, or 14% of total Amazon searches, because Amazon gets about 2 billion searches a day. So, and this is the infrastructure they built out in October 24. As discussed, I strongly believe this is going to be a rapidly increasing percentage, given people are getting more and more used to using AI-powered search. So how do you optimize for Rufus and increase your sales? The good news about Amazon is that Amazon released all of their science papers. So if you go on amazon.science, you will see 300 plus papers about search, and some of them talk about Rufus. And specifically, what comes up time and time again when optimizing for AI-powered search is things like this from this particular paper, which is capturing the subjective product needs in the listing. So they define them here as basically an adjective is your product. You know, what's the adjective behind your product? Is it a sturdy table of colorful dress? What is the event you use it for? What activity? What is the purpose that people would buy it for? And who is the target audience? And it's these kind of things which, you know, more than keywords, give Amazon context on, you know, what to surface. And it's very important that we start thinking about this, optimizing for AI-powered search and optimizing for these subjective product needs and for the intent behind the purchase now, and not just kind of trying to hack a long tail keyword anymore, because it just simply doesn't work. So the second thing, the second AI-powered search shift that's happened in Amazon that I want to talk about is Cosmo. So whilst Rufus is this front-end kind of chatbot on the mobile app, Cosmo is a back-end algorithm which is they put a large language model inside, and it's helping basically to surface common sense products to people based on the end shopper profile themselves. So they have trained Cosmo, which, as they say in the science paper, as a common sense algorithm on hundreds of millions of data points. Obviously, Amazon have tons of data points on their users, and they've done a bunch of annotations. And an important point to say is, again, Cosmo is live. This paper was published in February last year, so a year ago. And a year ago, they said that they tested out on 10% of the US traffic. They saw a 0.7% increase in product sales, and it's going to translate to billions of dollars in revenue. You know, say if they can surface better products to customers in the back-end search algorithm. So from everything we've seen, this is live across all locales, all marketplaces a year later. And the challenge that sellers face is that AI search works differently from traditional SEO, and you can see this yourself. If you use Rufus, but also if you use Google, you'll see that 94% of AI overview links are different from organic search results, according to the search engine land study that they did there. So how do you optimize for Cosmo and Amazon's backend algorithm? 3 things that we help customers with, which you guys, I'd encourage you to think about. First of all, intent-based matching, again, similar to the Rufus paper, same themes come up here. Secondly, visual content. These AI models are multimodal, so they understand images as well as text. So your SEO needs to be multimodal. And then lastly, continuous monitoring and optimization. So as I kind of alluded to, the keywords don't matter as much. And to quickly give you a scientific explanation of this, when you put a prompt into a large language model, like in Rufus or Cosmo, the AI will break that into tokens, which are numerical values, and then it would compress them. And the reason it compresses them is this stuff is super expensive to run, and therefore, in order to save cost and speed up the process, you kind of take words, turn them into numbers, and compress them. So the impact of that is that if you're trying to like hit some long tail keyword, nowadays you're probably not even getting that into the prompt or in the algorithm that is powering the response. It's all about the intent. And again, from the Cosmo paper, This is a well-quoted kind of diagram, but I'll go through it again if you haven't seen it. They give the example, if you're a pregnant woman searching for slip-resistant shoes, the AI is smart enough to understand the context of that shopper, and even if she doesn't put in slip-resistant as a keyword, it's going to show her that because it understands that the goal behind her purchase and fundamentally her as a target audience. So you need to be optimizing for these relation types. Again, similar to what's in the previous paper. That's stuff like the event, the audience, the time in this, the season event, all these kind of good stuff that you need to be putting into your visual written content. As I mentioned, search is now multimodal. There's plenty of papers kind of discussing how they're bringing multimodal into the Amazon search system. Amazon have recognition. This basically gives them the ability to read and understand what's going on in images. So it's super important to optimize your images for all of these points I'm talking about, the target audience, the goal that they're using it for, all of this good stuff. And yes, again, this is not just kind of theory. This is something that we're practically helping our customers with now. So this is a before and after of one of our customers. As you can see there, they didn't have good images beforehand. They didn't really have any images. So when the customer asks Rufus a question on the product, it kind of gives a bunch of saying that the product information doesn't mention this. Once you create these images or use Ecomtent to generate optimized visual written content at scale, it's going to generate content. The Rufus will pick this up, and that means that will be in the answer when a customer asks a question, and you reduce the chance that the customer bounces off and goes to a different product. We've got some more data here on how optimizing for Rufus and Cosmo increases your bestseller rank. So for this particular customer, they went from 60 to 25 in a month, and also proof that this isn't just about Rufus. This is about the main search. They went to #1 on their keyword, despite, as you can see, their main image not being particularly well optimized compared to their competitors, because they had the visual written content that is optimized for the Cosmo algorithm. More case studies there. I won't go through that. So yeah, the way we help customers is to generate this visual and written content. We do infographics, A+ content, optimize copy at speed and scale, optimize for these algorithms. And if you would like 10% off our tool, you can scan that there, and you have a special offer. So yeah, that's everything. It was great to talk to you, and I look forward to answering any questions that you guys may have.
Perfect. Great. Thank you very much, Matt. Very, very interesting indeed. Paul, you're up next.
Yes. Can you see my screen? Let's make sure.
I don't see something yet.
There we go. Let me know when you can see my screen.
Sure. In the meantime, if I've said the LinkedIn details of everyone, so if anyone who's attending wants to connect with any of the speakers, you can feel free to do so. And you can also ask any questions that you have. We have some questions coming in, so that's great. I'll answer them after Paul's presentation here. So back over to you, Paul.
Oh, thanks. You can hear me all right?
Loud and clear.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so today I want to discuss newsletters for Amazon sellers. This is quite a big deal because the service doesn't exist right now, and within about, I reckon about a year to 2 years, this will be the norm for absolutely everyone. So let's get started. So first of all, the problem with Amazon is that it's a platform problem. We are building our business on borrowed land. A lot of Amazon sellers get this, they understand this, and they never have a good night's sleep because of it. Because any platform changes can destroy your business overnight. Anything like Amazon algorithm changes, the TikTok ban that was meant to happen last month didn't happen. But for me, it affected my agency. I run a TikTok shop agency, and we lost 80% of our clients and staff as a result of the supposed ban. It's a problem with these platforms. The same thing with Facebook, but tons of policy changes. I lost, and this is quite a big deal, I lost 3 businesses down to platform changes. I ran a few Amazon private label businesses, and once I shipped a container, it's my fault, I shipped a container to the wrong continent. Like, yeah, I can't make that up. It's just ridiculous. I shipped it to the wrong continent. Ended up being the customers were upset and so on and so forth. Even though I messaged as many customers as possible, they weren't my customers. They were Amazon. So Amazon took action and killed my brand literally overnight. I then had an Amazon launch agency where we had I would say about 90% success rate because we would do rebates, search find by rebates. And the problem with that, though, it was great until Amazon said it's against the rules. As soon as Amazon changed the rules, I lost that business overnight. I even had a Facebook Messenger SaaS, much like ManyChat and other messenger softwares. It did the same thing. It was made just for Amazon sellers. And then overnight, Facebook just decided, you know what, we don't like the software, so we're just going to turn it off. So they turned it off. We lost 4 years of work and 200 customers overnight, completely lost. So that's why, and even with the TikTok ban that happened in January, when that happened, I said to myself, like, this can't be, like, this be the 4th time it's happened to me, so I need to make changes, and that's why I'm offering newsletters to help with TikTok Shop if want to be. So the reason I like newsletters is because they are digital assets you own. They are your audience because it's your rules, it's your empire, and it's not affected by algorithm changes. Email is as old as the internet itself, so it's not going to change it as effective now as it once was. And what's great is you build direct connection to your customers. You build trust and authority in your niche. This is because it's all your customers. You can actually create your own media empire by creating a few newsletters around your niche and feeding that niche your content, your products, and so on and so forth. So you can actually make launches on Amazon much easier by becoming your own media empire, having many newsletters under your platform. So for example, look at this. The ROI on newsletters. For every $1 spent on a newsletter, you will get $36 to $42 back. This is because the newsletter subscribers, they may not buy right now, but they eventually will buy. And when they do, they know your brand, they know why, and they view your brand as the be all and end all because a lot of the readers will understand that this brand is awesome because so many experts are talking about it. Also, content marketing costs 62% less than traditional marketing, and the readers have 131% higher chance to buy from educational or newsletter content. People want to be entertained and educated at the same time. Your newsletter needs to entertain them and educate them every week, week by week, because there are 6 times higher conversion rates as opposed to normal content marketing. This is why educational plus entertainment content converts the absolute best. And mainly, the big thing about newsletters is that in my own newsletter, we have close to like a 65% open rate. That means 65% of the people in my network will read my content. And newsletters, typically, they have a 50% open rate, whereas the average email open rate is 15%. This is why newsletters are so powerful. And also, by having a newsletter with Amazon in the background, you can use Amazon to your advantage because 89% of buyers prefer buying on Amazon. So if you give links to your Amazon product in your newsletter, it's a no-brainer because people can go ahead and buy right there and then. Because also, Prime members convert at 74% and 66% of product searches start on Amazon. By just using the people's trust in Amazon, combine that with your owned audience, big word, owned audience. By just combining that audience with Amazon, you have a powerful strategy. You're building on Amazon's infrastructure, you're building on Amazon's trust, and actually launching your own newsletter. That's why it's so powerful, because all that content you feature in the newsletter will then will become sales on Amazon or your own website or TikTok Shop, whichever platform you want to push the traffic to. You can decide. A bunch of my clients, they actually use TikTok Shop and Amazon and their own website. So 3 different platforms they can send a buyer to. Amazon converts best because people trust Amazon more than a website, more than TikTok Shop. So the strategy, the breakdown, is you create value packed newsletters in your niche, not about your products. That part is very, very important. Let's assume you sell a dog brush. That's great, but no one wants to read a newsletter about a dog brush. But people in that niche would read a newsletter about the top 10 tips for your poodle or whatever, something like that. So it's, what you need to do is create a newsletter for the niche, not about your products. But then make sure you build your audience trust through solving real problems. If your product is any good, I'm sure it is, it solves real problems. And now you can scream that to the audience in your newsletter, because you can naturally weave the product into engaging content. So the user can actually read your content, be entertained, and receive an education as a result. They can see what products will be ideal for them to solve their pain points. Because you're guiding all the readers to your Amazon listings, or if you want to your Shopify listing or your TikTok shop listing, whichever. Amazon will convert the best because everyone trusts Amazon. Because you will turn casual readers into repeat buyers and brand advocates. Imagine if you signed to a newsletter and the person that runs the newsletter then messaged you and said, hey, we noticed you had this problem in your last product. You know what? This newsletter is actually sponsored by this brand, and if you like a discount or some of their products, let me know, I'll get you a discount. So just by signing up, the newsletter owner reaches out to the subscriber and say, we noticed you have this problem, we have this solution. People love that because it's all personalized. People love that because they don't feel like a statistic. They feel like this newsletter actually cares about the problem. And also the revenue streams. The primary goal is to increase your Amazon sales whilst building a loyal audience. And the secondary goal is you can use your Amazon attribution links in the email, which means you get 10% kickback. Or you can use Amazon affiliate links, which is 5% kickback. And what's great is, let's assume your newsletter performs really well and grows really quickly. You can charge between $2,000 and $4,000 to a sponsor to be featured in your newsletter. And that sponsor could be your competitor. And your competitor may have no idea that the brand actually runs this newsletter. So you can actually use it to reverse engineer and see what works for you, what works well for your competitors. So overall, you can get about 10 to 15% back on every sale through the newsletter. So let's look at this. I created a newsletter around UFO sightings. It's ridiculous, but I want to be really ridiculous to give you a good example of how it works. So the product is a UFO detector, but the niche is about UFO sightings. We use education plus entertainment plus subtle product placement in the newsletter. We build up the community through user experience. In the newsletter, we ask, when last did you see a UFO? Ridiculous question, I know. but it gets people engaged. When they reply saying, I saw a UFO when I went to go visit my mother-in-law or something like that, we include it in the newsletter. That way, people feel like they are part of the community, because we are building expertise and authority in the niche. If you want to go buy a UFO detector, if you're worried about UFOs, you would read this newsletter and see it recommending this specific UFO detector. Now you know which is the best UFO detector on the market because you read this newsletter. That's why it's so powerful. So if we want to implement this, the first thing you need to do is create a custom newsletter strategy for your brand around the niche, not around the product. Create a weekly content that converts. In the beginning, you won't know what converts. That's why you need to test as many variations, as many templates, as many pieces of content as possible to see what really converts. And then use growth tactics to build a subscriber base. And the aim is to try and grow the list by 20% per month. If you just start right now, let's say you get 1,000 subscribers per month. At the end of a year, you have about between 12 and 15,000 subscribers. If you have a 10,000 subscriber email list, that is a $10,000 per month business, because an engaged subscriber list is incredibly powerful. You can use it to launch any products on any platform. That's why it's like a cheat code for e-commerce, having an engaged subscriber base. So if you want to do this, we do this right now. We do this for Vue brands. Book a strategy call with us. Otherwise, let me know your thoughts. Any questions? I'm happy to go in detail. Any questions, please let me know.
Perfect, great. Well, thank you very much for this. Paul, it was very, very insightful. Thank you. Quite interesting the UFO thing there. Okay, I'm interested to know what that product is. Right, so we've had a few questions coming, so I'm just going to answer a few of them, conscious of time as well. So I think one of the first ones that I see here is what are the biggest cost-cutting opportunities in packaging and logistics that most sellers overlook? So I think this might be Mark. Maybe it's a bit more suitable on your remit to pick it up.
Right. I mean, the cost strategies would be understanding your landed costs, right? I mean, you need to know your factory costs, your inbound costs, which is your freight, and you need to know your tariffs and your duties. And once you've got those numbers, then you can reverse engineer that contribution margin one. Is if that contribution margin one says 20%, if I go to my factory, and this is a great example, is I just had one guy who's never asked for a better rate, go to his factory, say some things to him, write him an email, told him what to say. Factory came back and said he was paying $1.80. Factory came back and said, how about 90 cents? Right off the bat,
Okay.
half price. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of things sellers don't understand, especially if you're dealing with China. Sometimes these factories are getting rebates from the government. So like, we aren't big companies. We aren't going in and ordering 5 containers and $250,000 of units and taking up a whole freight. Like we're for small fry and we're getting like these MOQs. But if we go in there with a mindset that like, hey, we're on small fry, 1,000 units means something, or 2,000 units means something. And also in the back of our minds, knowing that these companies are getting rebates from the government, they're getting, say, on a $3 product, they might be getting $1. And the factory's going, yeah, it's $3 for you. They're making $4 on this. So they want to work with you. You just got to say the right things. So, it's don't take it for face value. Make sure that you're getting the best possible price for your business. It doesn't matter what size business you are.
Got it. Cool, thank you. I see another one here that says, do keywords still matter? I think this one is probably around your presentation, Max, having to do around the AI stuff. So Does keywords still matter when it comes to listing optimization and Rufus?
So we obviously still use words to communicate. So it's hard to say they don't matter, in a factual sense. However, when I say keywords don't matter, what I'm really referring to is this practice of going onto Jungle Scout or Helium 10 or Dive or whatever you may be doing, and looking at 100 keywords that you think have this X search volume and trying to stick them, stuff them all in the listing. So that practice is well and truly not working. And I talk to many customers all the time, and I'd be interested to hear if anyone thinks that I'm wrong. But in my experience, that practice no longer works, and what you need to do is optimize for the audience, for the all the stuff that I talked about, the buyer journey, have beautiful images that explain who that target audience is and how they use the product, and that's a far better way to increase your rank and sales on Amazon.
Got it. But it's a very big conversation topic, which I'd love to have with you at some point and exchange some ideas. I've got another question here around what are the benefits to a newsletter over an email list, a traditional email list. So I think that one, Paul.
Sure thing. So basically, an email list is great. And an email list and a newsletter are two very similar things. The issue is when you buy a product, you normally add it to the email list for that product, which is great. But I'm willing to bet most people on this call, when you buy a product and you add it to the email list, you ignore those emails. Most do. Whereas a newsletter is not what the newsletter in my context, the newsletter is not about the product. It's about the niche overall. The fact that the product is mentioned in the newsletter is bonus for you. It really, really is. So the biggest difference is emails are for product specific lists, whereas a newsletter is about niche specific problems. The big thing is the better the niche is, the better, more valuable your newsletter will be as a result.
Got it. Understood. Okay, I've got one more question that I see here, because some of the questions that people have put in have already been answered because they came in while you were doing the presentation. One says, how often do you review and update your pricing and cost structure to ensure accuracy and competitiveness in the market? So, I don't know, Mark, would you like to get that one answered?
Yeah, just repeat that one.
Put it in the chat as well. It's how often, I think there's a better way, but how often do you review and update your pricing and cost structure to ensure accuracy and competitiveness in the market?
Okay, well, firstly, cost structure should always be updated as you're ordering, because you got to think about, when we're looking at, like, say, for accounting and bookkeeping purposes, ideally we want to use maybe a weighted average, because otherwise, say for example, I have to fly in X amount of products, it's going to bump up my cost. But then if I'm using that number, it might skew my profitability metrics and be like, oh geez, this isn't a viable product, I'm gonna ditch it. But it's because out of say 2,000 units, I had to fly in 500, so it bumped up my inbound cost a little bit. So what we want to use is a weighted average. But then at the same time, as new products are ordered and the cycle throws through, we need to keep that constantly updated. So it's using tools like SellerVUE that create an automatic process to this, so that you aren't dumpster diving in spreadsheets, you aren't updating formulas, you aren't spending time in spreadsheets that you could be spending time on your business. And then in terms of pricing, that's another one where I think using tools that automate your pricing is far more efficient than you going in there and trying to figure out yourself. You want to create some automations in your business. Like these things, I always think about the left brain and the right brain, right? The right brain are the fund revenue drivers and the left brain are the profit generators. Yeah, we've got automatic pricing and our costs are always up to date. We don't have to worry about this anymore. We focus on our business. And I think that's where it's time and attention. If we're spending so much time over here, then I can't think about expanding to new places or sending off newsletter stuff to Paul. We got to draw the line somewhere. So
understood. Okay, great. Well, I think that's everything for today's webinar. First of all, I'd like to thank every one of you, Mark, Max, and Paul. Thank you for your insights. I definitely learned quite a few things today, and I'll be in touch with your client to discuss this further. For those who want to see the webinar, it will be available on YouTube, you can see on the Lezzat channel here. And with that, I'd like to thank everyone and call it a good day, good night, good afternoon to everyone who's watching around the world.
yes, nice meeting you, everyone. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Ciao. Bye.